Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of BDC Digital Academy. Today's session will be conducted by me, Ali Mashraf, and Salwaa Khan. She's been recently unveiled to be the tab director of Australasian Inter-Universities Debating Championship 2020, the first ever from Bangladesh to do so, which is a huge honor for Bangladesh debate circuit as a whole. We don't need to give our introduction. That will be available at the very beginning of the video. All we can say is we have been tabbing in our circuit since 2017 and have tabbed numerous small, medium to large scale debate tournaments. And that's why we are here to share mostly our experience of the journey as tab directors today. What we will do in this session is we will walk you through the entire process from the beginning to the end of tabbing a tournament. That means we will show you what we do a week prior to the tournament, that is setting up the tab website, to inputting the data of the debaters and the adjudicators, setting up the tournament, to inputting the data between the rounds, allocating judges, and at the same time generating the draws for each round. And then we will show you how to input the scores, how to generate the draws for the next rounds, and then how to generate the break of a tournament. And if you are going to tab further through the website, we'll show you how to input the out round data as well. Without further ado, I would like to ask Salwaa to take the floor from now.
Okay. Hello everyone, this is Salwaa. I'm gonna present my screen right now, and I'm going to show you the first step of tabbing there. What you're seeing right now is the sign up page to Heroku. The website link is signup.heroku.com, and it's all basic information. You put in your name, your last name, your email address. Company name is not required. Your role could be, if you're any one of these, you could put in that. Use student, or what I use is other. Country is Bangladesh, and language, as I am not familiar with any one of them and I'm not a developer, I use I'm not a developer. And click here, as you're not a robot, and you create your free account. If you're seeing this, you will be redirected here. You put in your email address and the password that you have put in, and you log in.
This is a discretion to the viewers that a lot of times you will see it takes you quite a bit to get logged into the website. So it's advisable that you set up an entire tournament at least 24 hours prior to the tournament starts, if it's a small to medium scale tournament. If it's a large scale tournament like Ascension, or for example, Astrals, and yes, of course, Pre-Worlds, which has more than 60 teams. We have tabbed in tournaments which had more than 150 teams. So that requires a lot of data to be inputted, and a lot of times the website itself cannot take that many inputs at a time. So it's better to have the link to the tournament generated 1 week prior to the tournament if it's a large scale tournament. So from here, you basically go on to another website, dashboard.herokuapp.com.
After you log in, you will be taken to this website, but if you want to know what the link is, as said, dashboard.heroku.com. Here you put in your app name. What we usually do is we put in the name of the tournament that we will be tabbing for. So if it's Pre-Worlds, we write Pre-Worlds 2019, 2020. As we are doing this for the workshop, it's tab workshop, and it's available. It shows right there. Here, there is nothing much to change. You put in your email address.
This is the viewer's discretion, basically. You can put any name in the app. It doesn't really matter because that is not the official name of the tournament. Yeah. So it won't matter even if you type your own name or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just a precaution, under the tab director email, please input the email that you regularly use, because if there are any unexpected errors or if the tournament faces any problems in the website, the developers will contact you through that email. And then you go on to the time zone. I think it's Asia, Dhaka, yeah. This will take quite a long time. There are days I have left this open and I returned after a couple of hours to see it's still building the app.
Yeah.
And the most frustrating thing that we have faced is after the entire process, it suddenly says app cannot be built. And that is when our heart starts racing. So as the app starts building itself, here's also a few instructions for you. So prior to the tournament, at least I think 24 hours before the tournament, you must have the details of all the debaters and the judges. That is the teams that will be participating, all 3 members of the teams if it's a 3v3 tournament, or all 2 members of a team if it's a BP tournament, as well as their speaker eligibility if they are novice or open. At the same time, you get the information of all the judges of the tournaments, their institutional clashes as well, so that you can input all the data without trying to knock all the participants and asking for their information. We collect these through our registration forms of tournaments, which we release at least 1 or 2 weeks before the tournament.
Honestly, it'll just make your life a whole lot more easier because Tabika just does all the work for you automatically.
Also, this is a note of caution to every aspiring tab director that Tabbycat requires uninterrupted internet connection during a tournament. So if you are tabbing in a tournament, please contact the Orgcom and ask them if they will have Wi-Fi connection in the tab room during the tournament. If not, then make sure that you have mobile data ready. It does not consume a large amount of data, but it requires uninterrupted connection. Otherwise, just at the middle of the tournament, you might see the website not loading. And trust me, when you are inputting data of a large scale tournament and the internet becomes slow, it creates massive, I don't know, I have never had a heart attack, but I went quite near.
Tabbing is also like a complete challenge to your patience.
Yeah. And you'll see the ad score just badging you to get ready with the next round's matchups, and you'll have to explain to them why it's being delayed.
And you can always blame it on technical error.
Yeah. A good thing about this software is it does a lot of the work for you. You don't need to manage everything at the back end. But if you feel that you are facing some technical difficulty which you are not aware of, or something which you cannot tackle, it's better to contact the developers at once. Tabbycat has a dedicated Facebook group. We will provide you the link after this session is over. It will be in the description as well as in the comment section of the YouTube page. So do not try to take on something you feel you are not confident. It might lead to more damage. It's better once you face such an issue to directly contact the developers and let them handle the issue. Tabbycat also has a user guide page, which will also link to you in the description, in the comments. You can go through the entire description as well as the code that is generated here. You can also generate this entire thing on your own computer. You need to have coding knowledge for that. But if you're an engineer and quite adept in that, I think you can do that for yourself too. It's quite interesting for the nerds. You can view. Yes, here you basically input your username as the tab director of the tournament. In the email address, it's better to input the same email that you gave in the settings page. Use a password that only you will know. If there are multiple tab directors in a tournament, everyone will have individual passwords. So please make sure that you all have different passwords, not the same one. And then you create your account. All right, now you are into the tournament site. So what you will do is you will create a new tournament here. You input the name of the tournament. So slug is basically the I think the shortened version of the tournament name, which will appear in the URL. So here it is advised that you always use a shortened version of the tournament itself. If it's Ascension, then Ascension 2020 or Ascension 2021. If it's Pre-Worlds, it's Pre-Worlds 2018, etc., etc. For this, we'll use Tab Workshop 2020. Number of preliminary rounds, let's say 3. 3 will be. Usually we have 4, 5, or even 6 preliminary rounds. Number of teams in the open break, it will be 4. Yeah, we can go and create a tournament. Now your tournament is created. The basic part is done. Now this is very important. So you need to set the category of the tournament. It will depend upon the tournament that you are tabbing, but for now we will use the UADC configuration. So under the public configuration, you input the details of the tournament, the Facebook event page or tournament website, or any particular detail that you would want to showcase on this page. Under the tournament staff, you basically input the name of the tab director, the name of the organization or the university that is hosting the tournament. And under adjudication, you would basically list the names of the CAs and the DCAs. You can also input the names of the equity officers of the tournament here if you want to. And then you go down and configure the tournament. You're almost there. Now you go to setup and go to configurations again, just to show what we have done. Yes, go to score rules. All right. So I would advise all the aspiring tab directors not to tinker with this data before talking to the ad score of the tournament. The ad score will basically tell you the minimum score and the maximum score of a tournament. So we will keep it as it is here for the time being. Can you scroll down, Salwa? Margin includes dissenters. I think we checked this out. Draw rules. Uncheck avoid team history. Yes. Can you scroll down? So these are areas where the individual tournaments will have its own rules. We usually use slide pairing method, and for conflict avoidance, we use one up, one down, so that the same pairing is not repeated in the immediate round. And since this is not a BP tournament, so you keep the other options as they are. We have to check in the adjudicators prior to every single round to make sure that we are not losing any adjudicator who are present at the venue but not allocated in the interface. All right. I think data entry, let's go there now, just to make sure that we are going through all the options. Yes. Under the ballot submission,
It's disabled for tab staff only. Use private URLs and use publicly accessible form.
all right. So basically what you do is if we are going to have private URLs where the chairs of the rounds themselves input the scores, we use private URLs. Otherwise, we keep this disabled and only the tab directors use the ballot submission, use the ballot submission option.
This is done for in-house tournaments mostly. Now that we are all under lockdown and all tournaments are now happening online, you go for use private URLs.
Please use private URLs for both the options, because I will also show the viewers how we do that. Yes. Under enable motions, we sometimes check that option, we sometimes uncheck that option. This depends on the amount of accessibility and flexibility we use during a tournament. For this, we won't change that option. Let's go down and save the configurations. All right. Debate rules, I think it's the next option, just to make sure that we have all the rules. Yeah, it's a 2-team format because we'll be doing a 3v3 demo here. Ballots per debate. What are the other options? My screen sort of.
Yeah, 1 ballot per voting adjudicator and consensus ballot, 1 ballot per debate.
No, we will keep 1 ballot per voting adjudicator.
Per voting adjudicator.
Yes. Substantive speakers, 3 reply scores checked. Side names, it's government and opposition, it doesn't really matter. You can have prop op, whatever. Motion vetoes, you can do so if you want, but it's not essential here. It's since in UADC we have 3 motions and teams cross out 1 motions each and they debate on the third consensus motion. So that's not required here. So save configurations. All right. I think we go to the standings now, just to make sure that we have that area ready. Yes. Number of substantive speeches miscible for standing eligibility. Here we usually give 0 or 1. That's totally a call for the ad score to take. But for this demo, I will give 1. But always cross-check with the ad score before inputting this information. For team standings precedence, we always use these 3. Firstly, the wins, then we use total speaker score, and then we use average margins. There are a plethora of options available. You can list all of them according to the decision of the ad score, but usually these three remain constant. So after that, you do not need to tinker with the data here. So I just wanted to make it clear that for speaker standings, we use the average speaker score of all the speakers. That means if you have missed one round, and since we've already inputted that you are eligible to be in the speaker standings even if you miss one round, so your average speaker score will be the final, will take the precedence while trying to list out the rankings of all the speakers. So even if you miss one round in a 5-round tournament, based on the average of your 4 rounds, you are eligible to be in the speaker standings. Just in the tab release area, can I see if we have all the privacy settings on? Yes. Release, we do not use these unless the tournament is already over. After the tournament is over, we release all the details. None of these should be checked at the beginning of the tournament. You check these all after the tournament is over. We'll come back to this page at the end of the video again. And lastly, in the public feature, so this is an area which you need to have it. Enable public view of participants list. You need to check that because the debaters will want to see if all the information have been correctly inputted. Also check enable public view of institutions list. Enable public view of draw. You need to change this information to change this option basically to separate pages for separate rounds. Public view of results, please untick that option. Public view of team standings, also untick that option. Public view of record pages, please untick that option. Public view of unsubmitted feedback, please untick that option. So this basically makes our job, I think 40% of our job is complete. Now go to edit database. Now Salwaa is going to do something that you need to see clearly. Can you go to the bottom and add me up as a tab director here? Just go down to users. You need to add user. From this option, you can add as many tab directors as are present in a tournament, as well as members of the adjudication core or anyone who will input the data for the tournament. Give me staff and super user status. Yes, you will see the description of each of these options just below. So if you want, you can read through that option to make sure and that you are aware what sort of status you're giving to that other person. You need to inbox me the tournament URL, the username, and the password so that I can enter the tournament now. Also, this is a word of caution. You never share the passwords and the usernames to anyone other than the tab team, because that way they can always access the website and get private details and confidential details of the tournament. All right, I'll now share my screen so that I can show how a core tab director can enter the website. So I input my username and the password, and then enter the website. So I've already logged in. As you can see, that is me, and that's Salwaa. So I can go to the website now. The administrator. So this is something that I would want to tell you all. The administrator area is basically for the tab directors. The assistant area is for someone who can input the information, that is the ballot scores, but cannot access the settings area and other areas that's usually reserved for us. The public area specifically is for the participants who will access it to see the matchups and the motions. I'll now go to the administrative area. we already have the basic settings done. Now comes the most challenging part, that is to import the information for the tournament. I'll go with the simple importer option where I add institutions first. So this is somewhere uh, where your previous information for the tournament will come into handy. For example, I'm using a data from DRMC Nationals tournament. So I won't go much into the details. I'll just select some names of the institutions. I'll come here and basically input those. So under here, I just for the time being, I'm not going to spell out the entire full form of ACCDC, which goes for Adamji Cantonment College Debating Club. I'll just use the same format here, ASDC. So you need to input the full name and the abbreviation that will appear in the tab software. So you can get the examples from here: Victoria, University of Wellington, VIC, University of Melbourne, MUDS. I can use that. So you separate them with a comma. It's now ready. What I will do is I will go to the next step. So this page will show you the information that you have already inputted in the website, just to make sure that there are no mistakes. Even if there are, you can always edit it from here. Assuming there are no mistakes, you save all institutions. Now you add teams. So I'll be adding one team for each institution. Next step, you have to input the names of the speakers. I'll directly copy the names of the speakers here. So basic Control-C, Control-V option. Always cross-check this to make sure that you are not inputting wrong information. This is a crucial part of tabbing. All right. On adjudicators, this is something where you have to make sure that this will take a lot of time, because there are adjudicators who are from these institutions and who are not from these institutions. I will just randomly name them to make sure that we do not spend much of time. This rating will be given by the ad score, so cross-check the data with them before inputting this data, and you save all adjudicators. Also make sure that when you are adding an adjudicator who's from a particular team, to input the number here. So if you are adding an adjudicator from Adamji, you give it 1 here, otherwise you get a 0. So that's not needed for now. You also need to add venues. And here what you do is you type the room number, for example, N140, and set a priority number. So there are 4 teams will require 2 rooms. So I'll just input both the rooms, and then I'll also input another room and give it a low priority number, so that will not be in the contention of the rooms, but you can always change in which rooms you want the venues to take place. You can also edit the data from here. So we have that saved. All right, so we are good to go for round 1.
That's availability of round 1. Mark everything is available.
Yes. And then you can generate the draw. So there are only 4 teams here. There are nothing that would raise any flags or any issues. You can see that the only 2 rooms that had a 10 rating came up here, and the other room that had a 5 rating did not. That's basically nothing to worry about. You can go to the confirm draw area. All right, now you allocate the adjudicators. This is sort of a tricky area, but once you get your experience into tabbing multiple tournaments, you'll understand how to navigate through this. Just close this and auto allocate the judges here. Yes.
You can also manually change it as you wish. See, there's one who was not allocated, you can just put them wherever you want.
Yeah, that basically makes it. So just for this tournament, I wanted to make sure that we have a sample data where we can show it to the viewers, that at times you will see that there are adjudicators whom you would not want to allocate. So that's their names will remain at the bottom, and the adjudicators you want to allocate, their names will appear there. You can also swap the chairs, do anything that you want. That's up to you. Here, we will just do one change right at the middle of the tournament so that you also know what to do in case such a situation arises. In the edit database area, you need to change Sajid's institution to BNMDC. Since he's a judge there, since he's a coach of BNMDC, what I will do is change Sajid's information. You can so the ones who are watching it see how Salwaa does. At the middle of a round, you might hear an adjudicator saying, "I have been wrongly allocated in a room where I have a clash with that team." Then it's your job to quickly correct the data. What you will do is go to participants, then go to adjudicators, uh, go to that particular adjudicator. Here it's Sajid, and below you will have to the institution, that's Birse Nur Muhammad Public College. Save. Also, since you are in this page, then like go to Fardin Bhai's option and mark him as uh, yes, just take adjudication core in Fardin Bhai's option and Kazi's options. Yes, and save the data. All right, now you can go to the allocations interface. Displayed, I think you need to, yes, can you refresh this page? Then the conflict will show up. All right, so what basically happens is I think it's taking a bit time. All right, it's not showing up here, but when you press on Sajid's name or move your cursor to Sajid's name, normally what will happen is it will turn red because he is already in a room where he has a clash. So there are a lot of times in between the allocation and the final draw, a lot of judges will say that they have been wrongly allocated. This doesn't happen normally, but at times in the rush of the moment or while you are trying to swap rooms, swap judges, swap panelists, or even trainees, you will see you have overlooked one or two of these small details. And that's the reason you have to make these changes on the go. Now we can go to the public area, the draw. So we return to the draw and display the draw now. We release the draw to the public, and once we do that, we make sure that the participants enter the tournament URL and see the matchup for the round. We also need to enter a motion. Yeah, makes sense.
You put in the motion text here, and you put in a reference related to the motion, and you put in your info slide, if any. If there is no info slide, then you just keep it blank, and then save motion.
Now
Voila.
you can also go to, so this is a caution to all the ones who are watching the video. So you always click on display draw ordered by venue. That way it will display the draws from the, I think the venue, they show it from ascending order from the lowest ranked room to the highest ranked room. This
You
is
can
not,
change it as well.
yeah, you can change it as well. This is not in the order of the strengths of the room. That means the top room here is not necessarily the top room in the tab. It's just the naming of the room, N140, the reason why it's in the top. Never mistake this to be the top room of the debate tournament. View and select display motions option. Yes. Once
This
you,
is for the briefing room, just
yeah,
to let you know. If you click on this, this will not be released to the public. So when you will be releasing the motion through whatever medium that you're using, in-house we use a projector screen, and for online tournaments we just shared a screenshot of the slide, whatever you prefer. Make sure that you do not click this.
yes. Here you first reveal the info slide, and then you show
And
the
then
motion, and then starts the countdown for a 3BT tournament. It's usually 30 minutes normally. For a BP, it's strictly 20 minutes. And then teams and judges go to their rooms. In the meantime, you will see some teams suddenly coming in and asking for the room number. You need to show the draw again. Some teams suddenly coming in and asking for the motion. You need to display the motion again. Once the debates in the room start, the volunteers start calling you because one or two adjudicators are missing. You get calls from the AdCore members asking you which adjudicator they have inputted in a particular room. So now I will just show you what to do in case something crops up right before the round is about to start. Can you unrelease the draw to public, because we will make a change now. Always make sure to unrelease a public page, because if you do not do that, you cannot make any changes. The changes won't be saved in the draw. So please go to the draw page again, edit adjudicator allocation. So suddenly you will get a complaint that Kazi is not available. So you need to swap Kazi with Nawed, because Sajid cannot be in that room. And then you go to the display draw. You will see the information automatically updated. Now you can release the draw and the motion to public, because it won't create any difference. Now the round has already started. Then for the next hour, as a tab director, you remain wherever you want to be. That's a very good time for you. You don't need to worry about anything that's going on in the tournament, unless suddenly you hear that there are no judges in one room. It's already been 15 to 20 minutes. You suddenly scramble to find any spare judge available in the tournament.
Let's teleport to the end of the round one.
Yes, I think we'll go to the results. Just to make sure, this is from the point of view of the tab director. So this means you will already have the physical copy of the ballot in your hand. Firstly, make sure that all the information in the ballot is correct. That means the speaker names are written, the scores are legible. There are numerous memes from tab directors which show we cannot read whether it's a 6 or a 5, whether it's a 4 or a 1, whether it's a 9 or an 8, or at times some atrocious, simply atrocious errors on ballots, which we have to shout at those particular people, unfortunately, because here you will see only 2 rooms, but normally we have 40, 50 rooms at a time where we have to input the ballots, and it takes a toll on your, if nothing, on your mental health at least. Yes, I think so. Ballot will be from all the particular all particular judges. So here are 3. So just
I would just
randomly.
like to mention here that there is absolutely no way that a tab director can know if the information put in the ballot is correct or not, but
Yes.
you can always check if any information is missing. Or in a case where you Tabicat does the sum by yourself, you'll be seeing a bit later how we put in the names and the scores, and Tabicat will show you. So if the numbers don't match, if the Tabicat numbers don't match as the ballot, then you can understand that there has been a mistake, and you call for the room's chair or whichever particular adjudicator has made that mistake in their ballot. So be very careful while you're putting in the input.
Yes, and it's always advisable that you cross-check the ballot with the particular judge rather than guessing on your own,
Yeah.
because even at this stage you can correct an error before you roll out the tab for another round. Because a lot of times, if the error leads to a difference in the win-loss, you give a win to a team that actually lost that round, it will reflect on the matchup of the next round. So once again, it's always advisable that you do not make assumptions if there is an error. And this is also a disclaimer to everyone, all the participants, that a lot of times it's neither the fault of the adjudicator nor the fault of the tab directors. So if you see any information error, just don't rush to a conclusion that the tab director made a mistake or the adjudicator made a mistake. Just try to get to the bottom of the issue to see what really happened. Randomly input scores, it won't really matter for this
Yeah.
particular activity.
Tabicate automatically shows you that this team government lost with the margin of 4. If this result doesn't match with the one that you have in your hand, the physical ballot, then that's when you know that there has been a mistake. So as this room had 3 adjudicators, Wafi being the chair and Fardin and Nawid being the panelists, you have to put in all of their scores.
Just make sure to make the op win in this ballot too. Now, in Naved's ballot, just make gov win so that we can show them what happens when there is a split in a room. So once this happens, you will know that the team, because we have put in the preference that ballot comes first. So it's the team with most number of ballots in this round, that's 2, that will get the win. So you cross-check all this information with the ballot. Now you make ballot status confirmed, and you confirm the debate status too, and then you save the ballot. Okay, for the next one, Salwa, what you will do is you will not input this information. You will let the individual adjudicator input this information through the private URL. So can you please go to the private URL sections? It's under the setup. Yes, private URLs, generate private URLs. So you will generate private URLs prior to the tournament, not at the tournament. And you will share all these private URLs with the respective judges, either via email or messenger texts or whatever method you feel comfortable. You can also print these out. They can scan these out for their convenience. It will depend on the instructions from the edge core and the feasibility of that particular method from the OCCOM. Salwa will now share the link of Sajid's edge URL with me, and I will input that information as Sajid, and then as an adjudicator using the private URL. So I will now share my screen. All right. So now I will go, I'll use that URL. So here it says submit ballot, submit feedback. Submit feedback option is if you have a panelist or a trainee, you can use that. For submit ballot, you use that ballot link. You go, I'll just randomly input the speakers' names. And I'll just give scores. These are all inputted, and now I'll submit the ballot. It's already been recorded. So as a chair, my job is done. Now we'll move to Salwa's screen to show how this information becomes available at the end of the tab director.
So I manually put in, here you can see the tab represent. This one was done by me, and this one was done by a private URL, but it is not confirmed yet.
All right, so you need to confirm it. So always make sure as a tab director that even when the judge has inputted the scores, you will get hold of the physical copy of the ballot. If it's a physical tournament, in an online tournament, you probably have to consult with the judge again. You confirm that ballot. You will see the
Or
debate.
you can just uncheck that
yeah.
part from the configuration.
Yes. You will see the debate status as draft. You need to confirm the debate status as well. And then save ballots. Unless all the ballots from all the rounds have not been inputted, you cannot move on to the next round. So you can see all the information have been inputted. You can also see a symbol beside Naved's name. That is to show that that is a dissenting adjudicator. So this will always show which judges have dissented in a particular room. It will also show in his adjudicator record that he was in the minority in this particular room. So now we can directly go for the next round. We advance to the next round. I would suggest not to use mark everything as available, rather copy availability from round 1, because a lot of times you will have hundreds of adjudicators registered, but not all of them are available. But if you copy the information from round 1, all you need to do is just make changes that are available in round 2, rather than changing the entire data input again. So just do that, copy availability from round 1. Now under mark adjudicators is available, just you need to tweak something. Can you edit adjudicator availability? All right. Uncheck Fardin Bhai. Uncheck 2 more judges. Any 2 you want. We'll only have single chairs in the other rooms now. just to make the process faster. All right, done. So we go to the overview area. Also, can you edit the venue and uncheck one room? So now we go to the overview. This is just to show to the viewers how we make sure that particular rooms have been unticked if those rooms are not available, and particular judges are unticked if they are not available or they do not want to be allocated for that round. So we go directly to generate draw. So yes, this particular page is important just for the ad score and the tab directors. So here you can see that this is actually the power matchup, right? So the figure 1 at the very left shows that both these teams have 1 wins each, and that is the top room here. And the other information is basically from where they won, the average speaks and everything. Those are not really important till now. The only important thing that you need to know is these the strength of each rooms, that is the rank of each room. Both the teams are here with 1 wins. If there were 20 teams, we would have 10 teams with 10 teams with 1 win and 10 teams with 0 wins, and 5 rooms would be there having winning teams and 5 rooms with losing teams. That's a bit difficult for you, but once you start tabbing, it will be quite easier for you to understand. For now, you will see that out of these 4 teams, 2 teams won in the previous round, 2 teams lost, and that's the reason the winning teams are placed at 1 and the losing teams at 0. Just allocate the adjudicators. So here you will see that the adjudicators who have been unchecked, they will not even appear in the allocation interface. You can manually, since there are 2 adjudicators, you can just manually put them in. Just make sure Sajid is not in BNMDC, or Sajid is not here.
We checked.
All right. All right. So here's one thing. Nawed has already judged BNMDC and ACCDC, so it doesn't really matter where you put him. He will, that blue will always show. It will also show how many rounds before he had judged them. Here it's 1 ago. In a large-scale tournament, you try to make sure that the same judge does not adjudicate the same team immediately after one particular round, just to avoid biasness and to make sure that all the rooms get all the good judges. Just go back and we'll go with our routine work of inputting the, displaying the draw, inputting the motions, and all right, release draw to public and enter the motion. You first display draw ordered by venue, and then you display the motion for the briefing room before releasing them to public. So this is what you will see on the projector of the screen. Luckily, we only have 2 rooms, so we do not want to use the scroll speed, which is, we usually put it at extra slow. It won't matter here because there are only 2 teams here. When we also make the text size huge because there are a lot of teams in the venue, and from the back they might not be able to see the text that appears on the screen. Display motion, reveal the motion for round 2, and then everyone takes a picture. So just to make sure that we do not have much to do, all I will do now is from my end, I will enter the results of each of the rooms using the private URLs, not the adjudicator, not the tab director's administrative area. So I don't need to share my screen. Salwa will show on her screen once the information appears. So it will just take me a minute or 2 to input all these information. This is to also let the participants of this session know that your private URL that you will get at the beginning of a tournament will stay till the end. So there are 2 things you need to make sure. Never share this private URL with anyone, because if you do so, anyone can use your private URL to enter, I think, tinker with the data and make our life hell. So at that point, we cannot do anything. All right, because if you do not release the draw to public, I cannot input the information. So this is also another warning to the tab directors. Always make sure that the draw and the motions have been released to public. Otherwise, the judges cannot use their private URLs to enter the information. Also, for debaters, you will get the tournament URL at the beginning of the tournament. So from that page, basically, you can access all the information, that is the matchup of each of the rounds and the motions once they have been released to the public. So always use that page when you are working, when you are trying to access these details of the tournament.
And that public page would look like this. Here you can see
As you can see on
draws
her
for
screen.
round 1, and then draw for round 2. You can see the motions and the participants and institutions as we had them checked at the beginning configuration.
All right.
Go back to the results page.
Yes, I've already submitted both the ballots. So if you refresh the page, you will see the draft status of the rooms. All you need to do is just check the ballots. Yes.
So for an in-house tournament, by this time you already have the ballot in your hand. If the information match as the physical ballot, you confirm your ballot and the debate status for all the rooms.
All right. In the next room, for just to give them the idea, there might be a slight error. So for example, that there's a mistake. So the tab director can always get that information correct. They can make sure that the correct information is inputted there. They can revise the score, and then basically they need to confirm the ballot and the debate status. So you can always make that change. All right. So advance to the next round. So this is the last round, right? So before we work on this, can you go to the settings page? Yeah, setup page to edit database area. First of all, can you go to rounds? All right, so here you will see that round 3 has been automatically marked silent. So you need to uncheck that option. Otherwise, when you release the public tab will not show or reveal the scores of round 3.
Usually the last round, prelim round of tournaments are silent, so we just leave it as it is.
Can you delete the semi-final round? Because since there's already 4 teams, we'll go to a direct final. Yes, you need to delete this round. All right. Also, go to the edit database area. So from the edit database area, you can actually do anything that you want as a tab director. So never abuse this power that you have, the immense power that has been vested upon you. So in the break area, I'll also make this change. Break categories.
This is for open and novice categories.
Yes, so you can add categories as you want. You can add another break category, for example, novice. That is not required here, but we will just show it to you how it happens. Can you add break category? We have not marked any teams novice, so that won't really matter. The tournament, you need to input it. Name is novice, slug is novice in small letters. Sequence number is usually 2 because 1 is for open. Break size, you can keep it 2. You do not use it the priority here because open will always be the priority. Just save this option. If a team has both the eligibilities, they can be marked for a lower priority. I think just mark priority as I don't know, 1. Can you make priority 1? Because the other priority, I think it has a larger number, if I'm not wrong. Save it. Yes, now you can see open has a priority of 100 and novice has a priority of 1. So any team breaking in both open and novice will be eligible for open break. Please click on open break and make the break size 2, not 4. We can go to the main page now. Just mark everything available from round 2, that is copy availability. We don't need to tinker any information here. Just mark all the judges. Generate draw. So here you can see teams with 2 wins will now be facing each other. Allocate adjudicators. Auto allocate them. Oh, I understood why that conflict page is not working. We need to manually edit that in the teams area. So can we do that right now so that debaters understand why this was not working? So this is something tab directors need to make sure they do. Just mark BNMTC here. Yes. Also, you can also go to adjudicator institution conflict and mark his institution there as well. Both work. It's since there is only one team, I wanted to make sure that we have both the options. Yes. So tab directors, make sure you get done with this at the very beginning and not at the middle of the tournament. Sometimes it might skip your mind, but it's always essential to have all these boxes checked. Yes, see, it will mark red on his name as well as the institution's name. So just pull Sajid into the top room here, main page, and get done with the motion. Yes, just enter the motion, release draw to public, then display the draw, display the motion, and release the motion.
And then after
Release
the motion has been released, you release it to public, and you will be able to see it on the public page.
One good thing about Tabicat is that you can simultaneously input data. So if you have 3 people in the tab team, all 3 of them can input data at once. It won't create any problem with the software. So, yes, we need to make one change. Let's make one change here. So, for example, let's say that one speaker from a team Iron Man this round. All right. So there is a way to make sure that information is readily available. Here you will see 2 options. There were no speakers, no Iron person speeches, or there were speakers who spoke multiple times.
Here, it will automatically reflect on the other ballots as well.
Yeah, so just confirm the ballot now, and that's done. And confirm the other ballot that I sent you. Yes, this one. Always cross-check the data with the physical ballot before. So now we can advance to the next round. I think we'll generate the break. All right. So for novice, there are no teams eligible here because we did not input any novice information. Let's go to the open break first. And now if you go down, you will see the top 2 teams will basically proceed. But for example, let's say ACCDC will not be able to show up on the next day. That is the day we will have the out rounds. So they will be marked as ineligible. So can you edit their remarks under ACCDC 1? Click on the options.
Tapped, ineligible, different break, disqualified, lost coin toss, withdrawn.
Give withdrawn. Yes. So save remarks and update all breaks. So now if you scroll down, you will see that ACC has withdrawn. So the next team on the list, TSDC, have been pulled up for the break. So now you can save and update all breaks. Final break for the tournament. Your job as a tab director is 90% done for the tournament. You arrive on the next day to basically draw the matchups if you are doing that on Tabicat, or since we use folding matchups, so it would be one. If it's an 8-team breaking for the next out rounds, it would be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5. Tabicat does the entire calculation by itself, so you won't really need to memorize the folding matchup. However, if you are doing it entirely on Excel or PowerPoint, a lot of times we do, then you need to just make sure that these ranks, that you remember the ranks of the teams. We will just show you how to tab an out round as well. So can you go to the grand final? Yeah, mark all breaking edges as available. So yeah, there needs to be at least one adjudicator marked. No need to mark anyone else. This will depend on the ones who have broken. So that would be done on a separate break area, which I will show you again. Can you go to the breaks area? Yes. Can you go to adjudicators? Yes. Let me mark in this. Oh, yeah. So here's one thing that you need to make sure that if you're entering all the ad scores in the in Tabicat's website, you need to give the private URLs to all the teams so that they can mark the chairs or the panelists of each rounds. On the other hand, the chairs will mark their panelists from each round. We usually gather this data on Excel, not on Tabicat's website, but for a large-scale tournament, we also do that on Tabicat's website. They use the private URL and then mark one adjudicator. So what in the breaking adjudicators, this part particularly will be left to the individual debaters and the chairs of rounds to fill up. What they will do is mark the adjudicators who have adjudicated them in particular rounds, the chairs or the panelists, and they will submit that using their private URLs, which we have already shown to you from the private URLs page. That information will be readily available to us in the feedback page. So Salwa, can you take us to the feedback page? All right, now you can see feedback of, I think, all 5 judges. Yeah, so just mark the top 3 as breaking. We are just doing this in a randomized order, but in a tournament, this particular task is for the ad score to do. The tab director will only access the ad score with the information regarding the number of rounds a judge was available or a particular score for a particular judge. So you don't need to worry much about this. And a lot of times we do this or collect these information on Google spreadsheets or Excel. So again, not something you need to worry about too much. Just make sure you have the scores of all the rounds. So we go to the open finals page to mark those judges as available. Yes. Overview. Can you go to the overview and generate the draw for the finals? So that's nothing basically to look into here. It's the top 2 teams. And Tabicat assigns sides randomly. However, you can edit the matchups, right? So how do you edit this particular matchup? So click on edit matchups. Just interchange the sides. Click on unconfirm, so it will confirm this room. You can also edit the venue if you want. Just pick the venue at the bottom, that is N141, and swap it with N140. That's done. Back to the draw. Yes, so when using auto allocation, you will see the judge with a lower score will remain at the bottom if there are only if the total number of judges is even. So here are 4 judges. So Tabicat automatically pulled 1 judge down. You can swap that judge with any of the judges here if you want. You can keep it as it is. It's up to you. We just showed you the method. Now just go back, and it's normally what you would do in the other rounds. Display the draw, make the draw public, enter the motion, display the motion, and then release the motion to public. Display a draw ordered by venue, display motions, reveal the motion.
Release motion.
So all the information will be available to the public. Now, just to make sure that you see what information available is, Salwa, can you click on the public area? All right, yes, here you will see the name of the participants, institutions, draws for each of the rounds, as well as the draw for the current round, that is the grand final. Click on the motions tab. All the motions for all the rounds are available here. Grand final result. So in these rounds, all you need to do is add the, can you go to add ballots? So all you need to do is just randomly fill up the scores if you want. confirmed. We do not usually input this data, but we did this so that you understand one last time how the data is inputted. There we have one winner of the tournament. At this part, you basically go off to the grand dinner, enjoy the food. So from here, we basically go to the configuration area. We go to tab release, we release the team tab, we release the speaker tab, we release the replies tab, we release the break category tab, we release the motions tab, we release the adjudicator tab. If the tournament mandates for it, you can always release all around results to public. Ballots, we don't usually do that, but you can always release ballots to public as well. And you save it. And then in the public features option, if there's diversity option available, this is for tournaments which have teams from multiple regions. Also, we do this to collect gender information, which particular gender has which particular trend of scores. We do public view of results, public view of team standings, we release team breaks to public. You always release team breaks to public after the breaks have been released. So this you do usually on Friday night. And that's it. Save configurations. It takes a bit of time for the data to be available, but here, since it's a low data set, it's already there. So from here, anyone can access team tab. That's basically the team tab. Anyone can access the novice team tab. There were no novice teams here, so it won't be available. If a team is marked novice, you can always see them here. The speakers tab is available here, all the speakers. I particularly mentioned about speakers missing rounds. So you see the average score has been taken, like the average with 78 highest has been, goes to the top. We just randomly inputted one particular score as missing, and so it still didn't matter. The average 76, 70, the 73 average has been picked here. This particular information for replies tab, if you want to see the reply scores of the debaters who gave reply speeches, it's available here. The motions always available, the results of the rounds available. Motions, you've already seen that. Results of all rounds will be available in separate pages. You can also see the breaks. Only the open and novice break will be available the night before. You can see one team has already withdrawn. It will show on the break page. Diversity info, there are no diversity info. There's one more thing, the motions tab. This is for EdgeCo's to see how a motion fared, the balance of a motion, how many gov teams won, how many opt teams won, and all these statistics will be available here. It's for judges who want to see whether the wording of a motion or the motion itself was neutral or not. The draws of all the pages of all the rounds are available in different pages. Once you release the tab, it's basically job done. Kudos to you for successfully running the tab of one particular tournament. You might have a question as to how to make sure that the speaker categories have been divided between novice and open speakers. So there's one last thing that's left for me, which I'll do right now, is I'll show you at the beginning of the tournament. You don't do this at the end, you do this at the beginning. All right, so you have to mark some particular participants as into open and novice, right? So open is always the de facto category, it's a default category. So that one you already need to enter novice. There are no limits. The sequence is always 2. The second one that will be available. You save the speaker categories. You go to speaker eligibility, and here you can mark any number of speakers you want as novice. So I'm randomly marking these speakers as novice, right? So one team will be novice only if all 3 speakers of that team are novice. So if DSDC had this speaker as novice as well, it would be a novice team. But since only 2 speakers are novice here, the team is not a novice team, but that particular speaker is. So now you have the speaker categories here as well. When you go to the participant list, this will be visible. See, these 4 speakers have novice in their names. So in the speaker standings, I think, although we won't have novice teams, we will have novice speakers. So you see the novice break is available here. Now, for example, if you also wanted to have novice teams, I think, for example, let's just mark one team novice. let's mark DSDC, the entire team novice. A word of caution again, you need to do this before the tournament starts, not at the end of the tournament, but I'm showing you the number of possibilities that we have. So for example, we want to make one particular team novice, so it's easier to make DSDC novice. So what do? All three of the speakers are novice, but the team is not novice. So you go to the edit database area, you scroll down to teams, you scroll down to BF Shaheen College Dhaka, and here you basically add novice category. So under the break categories, you will have options. You add both and save. Your work is done. So now when you go to the tab page, when you go to novice teams, you will see that particular novice team and their information. If there were two teams, there will be two teams here, then you would have received a novice break page for that as well. Since we have marked open break as number 1 and novice break as number 2, so even though that team went to the open finals and they were also novice team, their record will not show here. I think that's basically it. So if you go to a public area, this is the page that will be visible to the public. All the details, team tab, speaker tabs, motions tab, results, diversity info, everything. Also, another thing that I would like to mention to our participants, and I will, of course, link this to the video description and the comments. So if you search Tabicat debate tabbing software or Tabicat in general, so this is Tabicat's user guide. This link will be made available to public. If you go through this entire page, especially installing on Heroku, using Tabicat, all these sections, importing data, starting a tournament, running a tournament, finishing a tournament, and then feature notes on edge allocations, break rounds, check-ins. I'll just to make sure, I'll click on one of these areas to show how that particular description reads. See, everything that we have shown on this video, it's available in written format here. How you make teams available, how you generate draw, how you edit adjudicator allocation, how you release the draw, how you enter and release motion, how you enter results, how you advance to next rounds. Then if you want to know details on finishing a tournament, the part that we did just now, how you release the tabs, everything. There are feature notes on particular instances, for example, breaks and break rounds, how you navigate through break rounds, how you set up breaking categories, standing rules, if there are team codes, user accounts. Like since Salwaa and I were at tab directors, we both used staff and super user accounts. So see, it says tab directors use that. The public only have access to publicly available information. The assistant and super user status are usually for the actual members or the ones who are entering the data, not for them to go to the other sections of the tab site. So I will link this page in the description as well. This is the link basically, so that everything that we have shown on this video, there's a written form of all these details here. Thank you so much, Salwa, for taking the time. It's already past 1:30 a.m.
That's absolutely all right. Even so, if anyone has any further questions or queries that you would like to know about, you can always comment.
Doing the entire video, there are areas where we may have made errors which skipped both of our knowledge. If it is so, do not hesitate to mention that in the comments, so that the ones who are learning can get the correct information. If this video helps any of you in any way, because I hear a lot of people asking me, please teach me how to tab. We never got the time to make a video on it. This is the first time video lecture is available on Tabicat tab software. I have searched YouTube. I didn't find any videos so that I could take inspiration from those. So since this is probably a sort of public work in the public domain for the first time, the errors are all ours, and I hope you will forgive us for our unintended errors, and please mention those if you find any of them. Thank you, everyone, and I will just leave it to Salwa to say the goodbye remarks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Like Mashraf said, if we did make any mistakes, please feel free to point them out so that we can learn and everyone else who will be watching the video can learn as well. So Thank you, and bye-bye.